Morning.
Hi, I'm Pauline from Greenwood Beach Resort in Cat Island.
Sorry, Pauline, you're breaking up.
I think my connection is doing bad.
Oh, hi.
I say I'm in Cat Island. That's why I wanted to follow you because you're a pro and I've heard a lot about you and I really want to know a bit more about what you're doing. And as we have the oceanic white tip here, you probably know. So we were planning to start with Rich, that you probably know, Ellie Joe husband, this year, but with the virus, everything went up.
The session about sharks is this afternoon at 2, though. This morning,
Sorry?
the session about scuba diving with sharks is this afternoon at 2.
Hmm. Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh,
Is
okay.
the same talk or you will talk to different things?
Two different. This morning is about basic good scuba habits. And this afternoon is about
Cool.
sharks and how to prepare to go diving with sharks and also how to pick a shark operator.
Cool. My connection is so bad. We are with BTC, so it's going up.
That's okay, I
I
know.
try to fix it, but oh.
You still have
all year round?
Yeah, probably you know. Sorry.
I just have 1 minute and then I'm going to start.
Okay.
All year round.
I have a question before you start. Oceanic are all around here, right? All year round? Because some people mention like from March to June, but we've seen a lot of out of those times. Sometimes we have in January, in February, they're on the wall.
For what I understand, they're in the winter. They're not there in the summer. That's what I understood. So you can't find them oceanic
Mm.
white in the hottest months of the year. So you will find them during the winter
Ah,
season, which can stand a little bit. But if people were to come to Cat Island, I think July, August, they wouldn't find oceanic white because the water warms up too much.
no,
No?
yes,
Okay.
that's what we noticed. I just ask in case because you're really a pro on that.
Well, maybe you can connect privately and then discuss that.
Sure, definitely.
All
Thank you.
right. I see there are about 6 people in the room, me included. So welcome, everyone. Just a quick introduction. My name is Cristina Zenato, and I'm hailing from Grand Bahama Island in the Bahamas. I've been a diving professional for the last 26 years. I've run the diving department that range between 13 and 22 staff members. I've been responsible for training dive masters and instructor levels. So I'm a course director. I'm also a cave instructor and a cave explorer, as well as a shark handler, and I train people into the work of sharks. I'm going to talk about sharks this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so New York time, about how to be in the water with sharks and also how to pick an operator to dive in the sharks. Safety is a part of my world. I am like I said, a cave instructor, a rebreather diver, a rebreather instructor, and through the years, I've taught a wide variety of people. I can teach from open water all the way to people that want to go into caves. But there's a certain patterns that I have basically noticed as I train people, and these are basically 5 rules that I set up not only for people in general, but for myself as I approach any new aspects of diving into my life, because I'm still doing new things for myself. The first rule for me is put in time. The expression, the zero to hero that we find out there in a certain way, I think is detrimental sometimes to people's capabilities of building their knowledge, but also their experience and their self-assurance. And unfortunately, in certain cases, might create actually a drawback in which we confront something too soon, too quickly, it scares us, and then we think, well, this is really, really scary. I don't want to do that. I'm going to mention, I'm pretty sure most of you remember Captain Chelsea Sullenberg. On January 15th of 2009, he landed a plane full of passengers in the middle of the Hudson River. And it was an incredible story. It received a lot of attention. But what I found really profound was a quote that he said, and I'm going to read that during this interview. He said that the moments before the ditching were the worst sickening pit of your stomach falling through the floor ceiling that he had ever experienced. But he also said, one way of looking at this might be that for 42 years, I've been making small, regular deposits in this bank of experience, education, and training. And on January 15th, the balance was sufficient so that I could make a very large withdrawal. What does it mean? It means that he would have never been able to do what he did if he had just come out of flight school, and that would have been his first or second or even his 20th flight. To me, putting in time is very, very important. I do believe that when we do that, we build up a foundation, and the foundation becomes bigger over which we can build then the next step. I give you an example. I hire people, and I hire someone who unfortunately lied during the interview. It did the 6 months 0 to hero from open water all the way to instructor in one location. And 6 months later was an instructor who had done the minimum amount of dive required to be an instructor. And I'm not blaming this person, I'm not blaming the system. I'm just saying this person came then into a dive operation that was very dynamic with quite a lot of customers. And what happened was absolutely shocked by the variety of issues, by the variety of problems, by the variety of people that he had to deal with. And he had no answers, no capability to relate and to basically answer questions. And he panicked. Within 3 weeks, he quit and he decided that being a diving instructor was not for him. Because in his entire diving career, he had never done a recreational diving for himself. So one of the things I tell diving instructors and diving professionals, doesn't matter if you're a dive master instructor, cave instructor, all the way up, is you need to dive for fun and you need to dive outside of the comfort zone of your teaching. So one of the things you want to do is always challenge yourself one step higher. I teach here, I'll learn here. And what it does, it gives two things. It gives you extra experience, and it also teaches you to remain a student. And it teaches you to remain a student and to basically amplify your capabilities, not only to teach better, but to empathize with the students and what it means in the process. So we never forgot that. That goes for tech, but that goes for rebreather. You have to swim the distance. You have to work the machine. You have to practice in order to be able to reach that level. So putting in time. Number two is the second point, is a rebreather. Build muscle memory, including the muscles that is between this area, so your brain. You need repetition of skills. You need, obviously, the capability to understand the little things that happen after the course. Because once you're under the supervision of an instructor and you're just stimulating, there's always kind of like a little safety net. Right? If you go within your capabilities, you will have this little failure for which you're being trained, in which you'll be able to respond. So build your muscle memory. And we build a muscle memory upon the things that actually we don't like. I'll give you an example. I had a lady that came on a dive and she was sporting a full face mask out of a box. Not connected, nothing. I said, why do you have a full face mask? And the answer was, I hate water in my mask. So I was recommended by the dive operator by the dive shop to buy a full face mask so I will never have to deal with that again. And as a full face mask instructor, I answered, I said, do you understand that if your full face mask fails, not only you have to remove the mask, but you're also without breathing. So you're missing both of them. And so I told her, If you're uncomfortable with the water in your mouth, all you have to do is keep practicing. You have to build muscle memory. And it could be physical, water in the mouth, or also mental. When I moved here to the Bahamas, physics was not my favorite subject. And definitely when I have to switch from metric to imperial was definitely not my favorite subject. So what did I do? I studied more. I spent more time. I asked more instructors for help. I spent countless hours trying to figure out how to simplify physics for my little peanut brain. I'm a language person. And to the point that now physics appear easy to me and they appear easy for me to teach. I will never be a physicist, but what I did is I tackled the subject that I was most uncomfortable with. Number three, big, basic, really good scuba habit. One that we forget sometimes is no new. I was at Tiger Beach. Tiger Beach is a location where we dive with tiger sharks, lemon sharks, bull sharks, Caribbean reef sharks here off the coast of Grand Bahama Island. From a diving point of view, easy, 20 feet, 6 meters, 30 feet, 10 meters. Clear visibility, 100 feet, 30 meters visibility, warm water. We're in the Bahamas, maybe a little bit of a current, but we are in the water with tiger sharks. And I remember I was one of the safety divers on the dive, and I was watching the divers from behind. I was watching the tiger, and I watched this tiger shark just looking at me like this. And I knew immediately what was happening, and I looked behind me, and there was a lady who was struggling to descend. When you dive with tiger sharks, you need to hit the water and descend quite immediately. You don't want to basically stay on the surface, especially if the surfing behind you. Helped the lady, came back on the boat, and found out that the lady was diving with a brand new 7 mil suit and a brand new camera system and a brand new BCD. My rule of thumb is when I put something new on that is so changing of my buoyance, for example, or of my trimming, I go back to the basics. So I'll take the new into an environment that I'm familiar with. I'll take the new into a dive that I'm comfortable with. And the only new element is going to be that element. For example, when I picked up the camera to take pictures inside the cave, I was already a cave diver from 1996 and a cave explorer, and I was already on the rebreather. When I picked up the camera, I went, open circuit to 12 meters, 40 feet, I will work with my camera. Then I did open water with the rebreather working on the camera. So now I could train my muscle memory between the rebreather and the camera. Then I said, okay, I'm going to go with the rebreather in the cavern zone with the camera. And then I went into the cave, and now I am pushing the camera 4, 5, 6,000 feet inside the cave with the rebreather, the dry suit, and all the rest. So no. A refresher is something that everyone offers. It's one of the best things to do. And the two worst excuses I ever heard in my life is, I don't have time and it's too expensive. And my question to the people that feel that the refresher is not worth the time, it's not worth the money, ask her, how much worth is your life? So going somewhere and taking a step back with something new to become familiar with, I think is one of the best rules when you approach this new environment. And that could include hiring an instructor. So if you go from wetsuit to dry suit, maybe you want to hire an instructor to help you figure it out, the dry suit and the buoyancy, before you actually do your fantastic sulfur dive, for example, in your brand new dry suit. Number 4 is more for the experienced diver. I call it the red zone. It's called complacency. In cave diving, we have a very basic rule. When the diver has reached 40 to 50 safe cave dives, we say they reach the red zone. What has happened is, during the training and after the first few dives, divers are still very much concerned about safety and worried about all these new skills that they've learned, and they're very attentive on everything that they do. It does the 40 to 50 cave dives, or any dives, rebreather dives, wreck dives, deep dives, you fill in the blank, come up, and nothing really serious has happened. our attention and our capabilities of concentrating on it actually drop. And what we start doing is start taking little small shortcuts. It can be like very, very minute things, like the instructor whose inflator hose is constantly inflating on the B2B, and it's like, oh, I'm just going to disconnect this because I can manage my buoyancy without having to push the button until you're holding on to someone that you're sharing air with and you actually don't have the hands to create your own buoyancy. So we enter in what's called complacency of desire. We deviate from the basic rules that we learned, and because for the most part we actually get away with it. We do get away with a lot of these breaking these minute rules. We're thinking, I got away. I've done 30 dives like this. It's okay. These are the limits, but I've done all the dives beyond the limits, and I came out okay. What it does, it creates a false sense of security, and it's an extremely red zone. So to me, is you dive within the parameters of the gear that you're wearing and within the environment that you're in. So I could be a rebreather, cave explorer, camera, but if I'm wearing a single tank with the wetsuit and I'm in the open ocean, I am a recreational diver that will respect the recreational diving limit. If I want to go off the continental shelf, I have to put on a different set of gear, obviously have the training, then I will be able to do that. And that for me is one of the most important rules. And it goes into a checklist. Become very complacent also with checklists. Some of us, depending, if you ask the photographers that have spent thousands of dollars into their camera, you'll find that they'll never miss a step. But as divers, sometimes we kind of like go, oh yeah, I used to do this when I learned. I don't need that anymore. And for me is, once we have those rules and it's been established, we need to follow them. It doesn't matter if you have 40, 60, 600, 6,000 dives. And then the number five. The number five, I think, really comes with a lot of experience, but also comes with being surrounded by the right people and the right dive buddies or dive professionals. And it's the rule of not today. And we teach that. We say, well, if you don't feel comfortable, don't do the dive. In cave diving, we have the any. Any diver can call any dive at any time for any reason without any repercussion. Until it's the last dive of your day, it's your last trip for the year, it's the dive that you actually came here for, it's the dive that you spent $6,000 permit to do, whatever the excuses are. And it's very hard to say, I arrived to the edge of the water, I'm completely geared up, but not today. There's always another day. And I think this is maybe the hardest one to follow. And you followed it correctly the moment you will do it. And you'll say, not today. And if you've done it correctly, all of a sudden you will feel like a very huge relief. So if you're sitting on the boat, biting your nail, if you're sitting on the shore and you're thinking, I don't feel like it. Now, a little bit of tension is normal. A little bit of adrenaline and, like if you're about to do something, it's okay. It actually helps you concentrate. But if you have that gut feeling, they call it gut feeling, and you're feeling, I don't want to do this, and your brain goes, but I don't want to disappoint. Fill in the blank. My wife, my husband, my buddy. I don't want to disappoint the group. Oh, if I don't go, somebody else can't go. Well, those are the wrong motivations to go on the dive. So if you feel that and you say, not today, it's not today. And it can be a physical feeling or a mental feeling. And this is my last story. Like I said, I picked these rules from experiences. After Hurricane Dorian, which was extremely devastating for this island and Abaco, I had a repeat guest that came on the island to visit and wanted to do a cave dive. Somebody that I'd already been cave diving with long time, and he decided to do, he only had time and room for one dive. And he said, oh, I would like to do a stage dive, which allows us to do a longer dive. And I agreed. What I failed to realize is the day before we had been talking about what had happened during the hurricane. And I've been concentrating on listening to the whys and how terrible for her the situation was, how she had lost her house and her boat and everything else. And I guess as guys do sometimes, he put up a strong face. It was only when we hit the water that I realized that he was at the same level of mental and physical stress the wife had gone through. But he had not admitted it, and I had not detected it because I'd been distracted by the wife. The cave dive did not go so well, so I called it and we came out and we actually sat at the water edge discussing exactly that. And so it was like what I'm saying is a part of recognizing the mental strain that he had gone through that did not allow him to do the dive at the same level that he could have done in a different situation. And so that would have been a not today. Oh, sorry, I just saw that now. It's a little hard to hear you. Sorry. So my session is done. We have about 10 minutes for
Hi guys, I don't know if, can you guys hear me? I've just asked Cristina to do a refresh on her browser, hopefully to get the sound back for her. And if she comes in a moment, then hopefully she'll be able to pick up where she left off. So bear with us just a couple of minutes, please. And here she comes. Cristina, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
And we can hear you, which is great. So I think everybody now can hear you. So I shall disappear and leave you to it. Carry on.
All right, so the question was, what do I do? The first one is I bring up the value versus a life value. The other one that I do is I try to accommodate. So, for example, I have someone that after 10 years refused to do a refresher. So I said, well, if you do a refresher, I'll have the boat go out and do the first dive because I didn't want to miss the dive. I said, and come and pick you up for the second dive. And I offer the second dive on top of the refresher. For me, it was more important for the guests to be on a refresher level, to be comfortable, and to keep the rest of the guests and the dive guide safe. So I try to accommodate through maybe managing and making them understand, or sometimes make the boat wait a half hour, so that we have someone that is actually not then damaging everyone else's dive. All right. I don't see any more. So I would like to thank everyone for joining this first session. As you see, I kept it very simple, no screen sharing, no pictures. After at 2 p.m. Eastern Southern Time, which is a Saturday, I will talk about shark diving and safety. So how I personally, my view on shark dives, how they should be structured, and how do I use those rules also to pick my own operators when I go shark diving around the world. If you want to join for that one. If you want to continue to look into the education work that I do, you can find me at, I'm going to write it here on my website, and just send an email there. Leave a message on the booth as well if you want to chat with me a little bit later. Thank you so much to everyone, and see you later.